What's up, everyone? This is Brian Hymas in Boise, coming at you live. As you can tell, we have another guest here. We are lucky and privileged. All of you send your regards to Braden from Fulcrum Home Loans. Braden.
How are you guys doing? It's good to be here.
Braden is our market expert. I'm just the fraud who has brought on the expert knower. But Braden does study this stuff a lot more than I do. And a lot of my information I glean. And Braden is more of a nerd. In the kind of sense.
It's true.
And so he'll give us the good stuff with you guys asking questions. So we're lucky. I think it's awesome we'll have it. Instead of you guys just hearing me doing a monologue with you guys. But we are excited to have you guys on. So if you're on, tell us where you're coming from. If you're live, give me a hashtag live. If you're going in a replay, give me a hashtag replay. It just helps us respond to the comments because I will respond to all of them. And if you have any questions, put them in there and tell us where you are coming from. So let's start out with the market. As you can tell, I am actually 6 foot. So if you think I'm actually 5'3", I'm just sitting next to someone who is.
I'm 6'10". 6'10". I'm tall.
My chair's up. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have seen the market, but we will talk about the market as a whole today. We want to dive into what we're seeing. So I get a lot of phone calls, and Braden probably just as many, if not more, of phone calls. And the word I'm hearing a lot that I want to dive into is the word softening. It's interesting. Softening of the market can mean a lot of things. And Braden and I were talking before we went live of what the market's doing, how we feel. We have real numbers we're going to go into later, but we want to talk about this quote unquote softening. So if you have those questions, if you've seen the same thing, if you haven't seen the same thing, a lot of things what I hear with the word softening is I see homes staying on the market longer, and then I also see price reductions. And I actually talked about the price reductions last time. Remember, a lot of the homes that you see that are perfect homes, in fact, the stats support this, we'll go into the exact numbers, those homes are actually going off the market in the same amount of time. Those perfect homes don't last past a couple weekends. They'll last that first weekend, that's about it. Median days on market for the whole county of Ada County, which is Boise, Meridian, Star, Kuna, Eagle, Garden City, that is 4. And that's the same number it was last month. So pretty cool stat to track, because what is a median days on market? That's not the average. Average is a little bit different. Median is that middle number, that midpoint number. So it takes the odd numbers that, those outliers, and it kind of eliminates those from the equation. So Braden, what do you have to say about the softening of the market?
Yeah, I don't think we're necessarily softening. There are still multiple offers on almost every single home that I'm calling on. Obviously, the lending side, Brian puts in offers. I'll call the listing agent, try to prop up the pre-approval, make sure that we do everything that we can. But most of the time, we're competing even in this market. There are sellers and agents that are overpricing homes, and so we do see price reductions. Yeah. But in my opinion, they needed to be reduced. Like the days of just chucking a number against the wall and hoping it sticks, those may be gone. But if your home's priced right and it's a good home, it's still flying off the market. They'll list Thursday, it's off Monday. That's the 4 days Brian was just talking about. And so they're still moving pretty quick here in Boise.
Yeah. And on that note, there's a home we went through. In my opinion, it's only $25,000 overpriced, but it's priced at $925. And just judging on the homes that were on the area, it should have been listed at $900. Just that $25,000 makes people, because the buyers are also in this mindset that if it's not a heck yes, they're moving on to that house that is a heck yes with that perfect price. And that's not different for this market. You have to keep that in mind. Just kind of keep that in the back of your head. If you're moving to Boise, from another state, keep that in mind when you're listing your house. You've got to get a buyer that walks in there and says the price makes sense, the house makes sense, the location makes sense, condition makes sense, and everything about that thing makes sense. And so you get the price right. Otherwise, if you can go through a home and you tour 5 homes that day and not everything makes sense about that home, you're going to go with the home that makes 100% sense if you've got a home that, Tyler, thanks for hopping on. If you've got a home that doesn't make 100% sense, people will find that home, and that's the home that they're going to fall in love with. So just the pricing, there's pricing strategies for all that, but 900, 925 in that example, 900's, 900, I promise you they'd be off the market, and they're not. So 925, that's, what was that quick percentage?
Jeez.
3% higher.
Yeah, 2-3%.
So that's something like that. So Candy, good to see you again. I think Candy was on last month. Candy is a local. Their shop, they're actually building right now. So Candy, thanks for hopping on as well. If you are watching live, put a comment below of where you are watching from, especially you out-of-staters. We are happy to have all of you. Braden and I are more happy to see out-of-staters than maybe some other locals.
It's true. Keeps us busy.
Let's see. Evan. Wow, Evan and Candy. This must be date night. This is great. Thanks for both being on here. Let's see here. There was a popular article that hit the market, and I think 3 or 4 people shared it with me. I was talking with Braden before. Braden, I want to hear your opinion. That KTVB article that we were talking about. Just briefly, you had a couple points. I think I might even cut you off, so we can go deeper right now.
Yeah. So honestly, I saw it and instantly I'm the nerd, so went into the statistics of it. The article said Boise was the #1 overrated market in the country. So that was like the headline of the article. We were #1. They ranked the top 10. I saw that. I lived here. I grew up here, and instantly thought that's not true. So I jumped into the actual statistics of it, and all they did was they took which markets appreciated the most over the last 12 months, and that's what they called the most overvalued. In my opinion, appreciation and overvalued is not the same. I think we were just undervalued before. Have we seen a lot of growth here? Yeah. Like home prices have gone up really, really quickly, but I don't think that home prices are coming down anytime soon. We can get into all that stuff kind of later if you want, but I don't think a housing crash or the softening that everyone's talking about is necessarily coming. There's a lot of stats that I can spit out to prove that, both statistically with numbers and also from what I'm seeing just around the market. But yeah, that was the article. Didn't necessarily agree with it. But what were your thoughts?
No, I liked your freeway example too.
Oh yeah. I had someone say this to me the other day and I thought it was good. So they're like, the housing market inside Boise is like you're flying down the freeway at 120 miles an hour. And you see that cop with his radar gun out half mile out, and you slow down to the speed limit and you actually start going 70 miles an hour and it feels like you're crawling. We are not necessarily softening. We're not going into that housing crash. Yes, it feels like it's a little bit slower because like last year there was 40, 50 offers in on homes regularly. But in my opinion, this is a pretty healthy market. Everything's going pretty good, and it just feels slow because of what we're used to for the last little bit.
Yeah, I think I've been involved in highly uber competitive market just once this year, and they were even considering contingent offers, which last year we weren't even in that same ballpark. So definitely things are changing. Speak to the rates, Braden, when we've seen the rates go from where they were at the beginning of the year. In fact, let's even back up to October, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then where they're at in the last 30 days and what you've seen. So Braden is Idaho's #1 lender. I think that's in terms of volume.
Yeah.
And self-rated. He's self-rated himself with #1 rate. He's actually great. And so he sees a lot of loan applications, a lot of loans that go through. They've got their systems down and they take care of their clients, which happen to be my clients as well. So, and just a lot of other agents that do more and less than I do. So, of all that volume, speak to the interest rate and what you've seen with loan applications and number of processing and how you think it's affected the market.
Yeah. My number of applications is stayed pretty flat. So I track it incessantly. So if you look at the last 8 months, the number of applications coming in for me are almost the same. Now, I do think I'm getting less qualified buyers. So I'm turning more people away, and we get into that. Rent prices are starting to raise pretty quickly right now. Rents are always sticky. So if you're out there renting, you're probably feeling it right now. Last year, home prices went up. You all signed 12-month leases. So that's starting to come up. So now they can renew it and try to catch it back up to home prices. So there's a lot of renters that are getting $300, $400, $500 rent raises on them right now. So they're coming trying to buy a home. And so naturally, I'm seeing a lot more renters come in that necessarily can't qualify for a home right now. We're working with them. We'll get them there. It's just not an instant pre-approval like it is sometimes. But rates do affect it. Like, there's no way to sugarcoat this. I was writing 30-year mortgages at 2.5%. 6-8 months ago, and that was paying like no points in some cases. It was crazy. It was almost free money. Rates right now we're 5 to 5.25. I'm pretty sure the national average, if you Google it, today's national average is like 5.5 or 5.6 or somewhere around that. We're a broker, so we usually have a little bit lower rates, but we're quoting 5.2 to 5.3. That adds, I mean, depends on the loan, but can add $400 or $500 onto your monthly payment. So it does hurt. There's the national averages. Love when I'm spot on. So it does add onto that monthly payment. And so if you were qualifying, if you were maxed out at 700, you may be maxed out at 650 now. So it's not to say that it hasn't hurt, but it hasn't affected it to the point where it's slowed down the market, in my opinion.
Cool. And I used, and this isn't official math, but someone in the real estate area, not the lender side, but the lender's real estate has told me that the 1%, 10% rule, and that's with a 1% change in the interest rate. Rough math is that changes your buying power by about 10%. So like what he said, 1070 or 700,000 going down to 650. You know, rough math, that's about the same thing as going down to 630. So just as a general rule, and obviously credit score is playing to that, right?
Yeah,
a little bit. Tyler, great snarky question. When do you predict that a 35,000 square foot home will be less than 500,000 again? Well, do you want walls on your home, Tyler? And you said it has to be in the Eagle Foothills, right? I know Tyler wants to be in the Eagle Foothills, but boy, I don't know if I have a good prediction. If I had a crystal ball, I might say those days are long gone, Tyler. Long gone. Yeah, so Braden said his rates are about 5.25, national average about 5.5. But let's dive into, do you have anything else you want to say about that, Braden?
no.
Okay. Again, wherever you come from, who's there? NorCal. Where in NorCal? My wife's from NorCal. She's from Redding. So I like to know when you say NorCal, you saying like the Bay, or you saying NorCal like Redding or north of Sacramento? Let me hear where you're from. And those who are joining us late, if you're live, give me a hashtag live on your comment and where you're coming from. Love to see it. If you have any questions about the market, we got this guy, Braden from Fulcrum Home Loans. Got myself. We see the same thing through different lens. Close to Stockton. Cool. Good to have you. Just had a client close on get under contract on a house. In fact, our client, and they are from Woodland, California.
Oh, cool.
Let's see here. Yeah, let's talk about the what we're seeing in terms of builders. So builders this year are not building as much as the demand. So remember, it's simple supply and demand. If we have enough homes on the market, I heard a stat from a builder's agent that if we built at the same rate for the next 60 years, we'd still be underserving our market. Like we have a lot to build to catch up. So that's the biggest. I mean, simple supply and demand without getting too techie and too nerdy. You can just, if people want to move here, and why are they moving here? People that are on my channel, you guys, that's you, are birds of a feather flock together. You guys are wanting the good old fashioned US of A. Like that's what this is here. That's why you guys are wanting Idaho. And so until that dies, until your mandates that you don't like, or the jabs that you don't like, or whatever it might be that you don't like, until those quit, that's what I see is people still moving here. We protect the Second Amendment. And there's so many more things I could say that I don't want to get censored, so we're not going to go all the way into those, but that's why you guys are moving here. So until that demand slows, I don't know how much prices will drop off. I get that question a lot. When will they drop off? So like going back to Tyler's kind of funny question, like it's going to be hard to drop off even if there was a recession, a housing recession, I should say, because Braden's educated me in that housing recession. In fact, that's what you should talk about. Talking about different types of recessions. Is even if there was, we still have a demand for people to move here. People are still able to work remote, right? That's what the fiasco from 2 years ago brought was people able to work remote. So go into that, Braden. Talk about difference between housing recession and recession and what you're looking at in terms of stock markets and things like that every day.
Yeah. So interesting stat that kind of leads into that. So if you look at every single decade since the 1950s, so every single 10 years from the 1950s all the way up to 2010, an average of about 10.5 million homes were built every single decade. The lowest was like 9.6 or something like that. From 2010 to 2020, there was 4.2 million homes built. So we built half as many homes in the last decade than we have the previous 50, 60 years.
Wow.
One more stat for you. Fannie Mae came out with a stat that said in January that we're 4 million homes under equilibrium. Those two numbers line up really, really well. So Do I think a recession's coming in the next 2 years? Yes. Are we already in one? Debatable. If you look at the stock market and some of the biggest stocks, Apple, Netflix, Amazon, they're down 30% in the last 12 months. But recession does not mean housing crash. We all have PTSD from 2008 where it did happen to coincide. But if you look at every recession for the last 100 years, about one in every recessions also coincided with a housing crash. So do I think a recession's coming? Yes. We may already be in it, to be honest, or the beginning of it with inflation, and we go into a whole stuff there. I won't. But do I think a housing crash is coming? No. Like Brian was saying, there's a supply and demand issue here. We are way underserved, especially here in the Boise Valley, that even if the recession came full blown, I don't think housing prices, they may plateau a little bit. There may not be 40 offers on every home, but I have way too many pre-approved buyers that would snag a home instantly if it dropped in price by $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. So I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. One of the most interesting questions I get asked, I'd say it's such a funny question to me because I never walk into the I never walk into the dentist and ask how busy his work life is, but I get always people ask me is, hey, how busy are you? It's just a funny question, but I know what they're getting at. They want to know the speed of the market.
Yeah.
And but interestingly enough, busy wise, in terms of homes that have been accepted with offers, houses that have under contract and things like that, this is as busy as it's ever been. Now, I don't think my marketing's changed that much in the last 18 months. YouTube, I'm doing YouTube, and that's fuels a lot of my business. Local stuff fuels a lot of my business. But in terms of how my speed is right now, my speed has never been better, which is interesting because rates are the highest they've been since I started the YouTube gig. And that's where I met you from. So that's interesting to know. Just one realtor. Now, I promise you, it's not everyone's. I know that's not everyone's. But again, when I talk about supply and demand, I'm talking to you guys, and you guys are still coming. And until my phone stops ringing, until those emails stop coming, that's the temperature of the market I'm going off of.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go into, if you guys don't have any questions, see, movie Big Short kind of tells what happened. Do you know that one?
Yes, I do. Yes, The Big Short shows how bad my industry was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, to be honest. And you're 100% spot on. The reason a recession and the housing market crashed at the same time, Big Short shows it perfectly. There's a lot of fraudulent mortgages, mortgage-backed securities, all that stuff. So I'm right there with you. And I think we're in a completely different game. The regulations around mortgages now and the equity you have to have, the credit scores you have to have, there's no more stated income right on a napkin. I make $100,000 and you get a loan, which was happening, which caused the Big Short. So spot on with you.
Yeah. For those who started going to sleep when you said the word security, I was right there with you, but just kidding. You do have, remember, when we have a shortage of building, we're trying to catch up, and I think a lot of builders have PTSD. There's definitely some aggressive builders and developers, I should say, but a lot of them are short of materials. I'm closing homes that are saying, hey, the master shower glass will be here in the next 6 months. Hopefully you get it soon. HVAC materials were down, the ductwork materials were down, siding materials, screens are like, that's the latest one I've heard of. I'm waiting on screens right now on a build. So those things help slow the building process. We have one that closes this Friday. It was supposed to be done February 16th, I think 16th. And it's finally going to close this Friday with actually a couple loose ends. And screens are one of those. That's the one I'm talking about. Let's dive into some stats. So we have, I've mentioned it before. Say hi to Gene. Gene is the one who makes the magic happen. If you notice, I am very magical. Things appear on my screen when I'm talking. A huge thank you to Jean. Jean, thanks for doing that. She's awesome. She runs the behind the scenes. And so, Jean, we're going to go into stats so you can get those stats ready to talk about. But we're going to talk about, I think what's cool about the stats that we pull is we can compare them month to month, right? So this is really intriguing to me. There you are. This is really intriguing to me when we look at the month to month stats, because a lot of things are the same, but there's one stat that's a lot different. And I asked Braden his opinion. He didn't even skip a beat. I love it because I speculate a lot. So does he, but I feel like he looks at the markets just a little bit more than I do. So When we look at Ada County as a whole, remember those cities were Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Star, Kuna, Garden City. We have currently, when this was pulled today, 870 active single-family homes. That compares to last month's active homes that are still in the market without a contract written on it that's accepted by both parties, compared to 477. Huge difference. It's almost double. In fact, I'm just going to call it double for ease. So we've doubled with active homes. But when we look at pending home sales, we go from 773 this month at a snapshot to 778. I mean, that's identical. That's about as close as you can get. And then sold homes in the last 30 days, there have been 898 sales compared to 832 sales. Again, same number. When you're dealing with that many homes, that's pretty dang close. Pretty close. Median days on market. Now, this is the median I already talked about, of how many days before there's an accepted contract between the both parties. Not before it closes, but just before there's an accepted contract. It's 4, and it was 4. Gerard, thank you for joining us. Where are you coming from? Happy to have you. And then the median sold price in Ada County for the last 30 days is 603, and compared to 574, which is interesting because that's, if you go city by city, and we will do that with a few cities, that sold price is up and the active homes is up. Everything else is about the same. You guys know that we're in Eagle right now. You guys can see the window. This is, you guys are peeking into Eagle, Idaho. And that's where we come from. That's where, we both do business all over the valley, but that's where our home roots are. And so when we look at Eagle, active homes on the market, we have 146 compared to last month, 170, or excuse me, 70. Again, we could just call that double. Pending 76 to 74, solds 87 to 74, very similar. And median days on market, 4, down from 5. You can say that's about the same, or a 20% decrease. But it's so close when it's that little. And that's the interesting thing. If we were to go through go from Roseburg, Oregon. Cool. Where's Roseburg at? Do you know?
I know.
Is that Central Oregon somewhere? Or is that metropolitan Portland? Median sold price in Eagle, 935, up from 884. And this number, we track that month to month. However, it's always between 875 and 950 for the last 8 months or so, if we were to pull that. And so just the fact that it's up a little bit, don't get too scared. The highest sell price in all of Ada County. Any guesses? Highest sell price in the last 30 days in the Ada County. Anyone know? I don't see any guesses coming in, so we're gonna reveal it. 3.4 south of Eugene, 3.4 million. Last month was 4.5 million. And for Eagle, the highest, that was an Eagle, so it's 3.4 in Eagle. Meridian, we'll just breeze by these ones real quick. In Meridian, we're gonna go active homes. Again, it's about double, 248 this month compared to 134 last month. Pending, about the same, 233 to 240, and solds 295 compared to 255. Again, that number, these are consistently the same in each city, which is just crazy. Median days on market stayed at 4, and median sold price is at 595 compared to 608. Gene's trying to keep up. And I'm just breezing. I don't want to bore them, but I think it's cool data. But you can see the trend. Double the actives, basically the same pendings and solds, and median days on market. So if you just engrave that into your head, that's basically the same for all these cities, for Meridian, Star, Eagle, and Ada County as a whole. So let's see, Tyler, did you guess 1.45? 1.45 in all of Ada County. Yeah, it was a good guess. You know what? You were the closest. You win a magical. You should just treat yourself to the city park tonight, Tyler. I happen to know because Tyler was at the city park when I drove by coming out here tonight. Tyler, thanks for joining us. Dude, Tyler, you're our champ today. You're owning the chat. There'll be maybe I should start like treating these guys. Last time we had I couldn't keep up with the comments. I'll just have to start treating these guys, throwing out random gift cards or something, electronic gift cards.
There you go.
what advice do you have, Braden, for first-time home buyers in this market, and do they differ from other home buyers in this market?
First-time home buyers, I wish first-time home buyers would talk to a lender a whole lot earlier. Even if you think you are 12 months out from buying a home, there's a lot that we can do to set you up from the get-go. Credit scores is a big one. A lot of people don't look at their credit scores until they're ready to make a big purchase. If you just give me 6 to 12 months, I can make those credit scores a whole lot better. We can work on specific things, work at down payments, look at different loan programs, just do a bunch of different stuff. So first-time home buyers, reach out to me. I'd love to help you. Even if you're not ready for Brian to start showing you homes initially, the quicker we can get going on the pre-approval, the more that we can catch early and kind of get all your ducks in a row for when you're ready to.
Yeah. That's it. That's interesting because we'll have to hash this out, because a lot of times I'll tell, and I like them to talk to you as soon as they can, while at the same time, there's a lot that goes into lending. Like there's, a lot of docs. And I don't want to make it sound too complicated, but the fun part about home shopping is the home. Unfortunately, you have to do providing some statements and taxes and things like that. And so I wonder if you guys get started earlier, if that process kind of can be a little bit less stressful. In fact, I did this to Braden just a couple months ago. Went home shopping, and then it's stress city, right? It's like, hey, I need this, that, and the other. And had I planned just a little bit and not put any pressure, like it doesn't have to be a terrible process. It can actually be smooth, and you can actually just have a simple checklist. In fact, I think your guys' systems are amazing.
Yeah.
Right? They need certain docs. If you need to speak to that, you can, but they need certain docs, and there's a checklist, and if it's easy for everyone to know where you're at with that. So earlier you get started, the better. Yeah.
And we're happy. There's a lot of lenders out there that don't like to work with people for a long time. They'll never say that out loud, but it's fairly often on how they treat you. I'm happy to work with someone for 6, 12, 18 months if I need to. Tyler, I saw your comment. Braden, can you do construction loans and convert it to a mortgage? Yes. So we do have construction loans. The product that you're kind of talking about is an awesome product. It's called a one-time close. So what you do is you close on your construction loan and your 30-year mortgage simultaneously. So before you even break ground, you're locking in your 30-year rate, which is great in this market when rates are going up, because you can lock in your rate today, start construction next month. When the home's done in a year, your mortgage just converts and it's ready to go. So yes, we can do construction loans. It can convert over. We do those often.
Cool. And so the builder just draws on that?
The builder just draws from us, submits his draws as invoices come in. We work with the builder they say the builder will tell you 6 months. I'm going to tell you 12 months. And then when it's done, it just converts into your full-time mortgage.
Cool. And Tyler bought a piece of property last year from me, and they are building with a family member. And so that is I know it's a win for both of you there. So that's awesome. Right. And just so I get, one thing I'd love you to speak this a little bit, because I get, why are you better than the credit union product? Okay, actually, before we go there, Braden, speak to that.
There's a lot here. The biggest one, credit unions charge origination charges, is probably one of the biggest ones. So if you're doing a $600,000 mortgage, credit union is going to charge you $6,000 right off the top before anyone else, even any other fees, start going in. So we don't charge any origination costs. It's thousands of dollars less because of that. The other part is our one-time close has a built-in float down. I'm getting a little technical, but rates have gone up lately. If they go down and we lock in your rate before, you don't want to be, oh, dang, I locked in a 5.5, rates are 3% now. So you lock in your rate, but if rates go down, you automatically get a float down. And when your home's done, it converts over. So those are two big things that are really nice that most credit unions don't have. Construction loans are so different. I don't know what credit union you're with, but those are two pretty unique things to our construction loan.
That's awesome. Didn't know that. And that's what I was going to speak to as well. I'm glad you kind of segued into that, because when you go shopping for a loan, it's like going to Albertsons or Fred Meyer or Walmart for your groceries. That's our local grocers, right? Or not a local. Those are some grocers here in town. and then they have different cans of products on the shelf, and that's like going to your different lender, and he's got different products he pulls from. And so they have their overhead costs, they've got their costs they have to charge, which you can talk to how cheap those are, but they've also got better rates, and they've got a few things that are more advantageous. So it's not just like you go buy a can of chili from, it doesn't matter which store you go, it matters. It also matters if you bag your own groceries. It matters if you have to pay more. There's a lot of things just with that one product on the shelf, just like a loan. And I was telling an agent the other day, I'm not kidding, an agent the other day, that all lenders are different, and he was shocked that they had different products. Don't kick yourself for not knowing that, but they have different products, and it really matters who you team up with. I've been with lenders who consistently close late. I've been with lenders who are, some of them are more creative than others. I've been with lenders who are cheaper than others. And Braden I have not had any foul experiences there. So we've been together for the last 6 months or so, and it's been awesome. I've been feeding a lot his way, and it's been a win. So I don't get anything from saying who I recommend.
I was just going to say, I'll pay you later. So thanks for saying that. Just kidding.
I wish we could. I wish you can. Never mind. I was gonna say something.
Get us flagged.
Who's there? Who are the main builders in Idaho? This is good. I would like to ask you who's there. What's your price range? Because our biggest home builder in the state of Idaho is CBH Homes. CBH builds a couple thousand homes a year. There's also Hubble Homes. That's another production builder. We have a couple of those national builders coming to town right now. We have Richmond American. We have Toll Brothers in town. We have Toll Brothers are national. They bought out a local company a few years back. We have, let's see, who are some of the Alturas, Brighton, Todd Campbell,
Tresidio. And then we can start going Iron Oak. There's a lot of custom home buyers that build as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of home builders that do about 30 to 50 a year, I'd say. And then like Alturas and Brighton, they're probably pumping out a couple hundred a year. And then the CBH's, Hubbles, and Toll Brothers, those are probably your top three, would you say, in terms of numbers?
And I mean, to throw it back Brian's way, it pays to work with a realtor that actually knows the different builders that are in different tiers that can do it, that you can be introduced to. There are so many different builders with different products. Some allow zero customization. Like they won't even let you choose the color of your backsplash. Some will let you redesign plans, some won't. Some will redline plans, some won't. So if you're interested in the building market, get with an agent, Brian, who knows all these different builders, what they can offer. It's well worth it, just because there are so many builders. We're a little bit different. I don't know where you're from. You're Stockton area. So you probably have like Lennar and a lot of those national builders that everyone knows of. Idaho doesn't have that. They're starting to come in, but most of our builders are local, and so it really pays to have an agent that can walk you through it.
KB Del Webb. Do we have KB here? I think KB just bought some land.
Same with Lennar. I'm pretty sure like the three biggest builders in the country all bought land in the last 12 months, and they're trying to break into
KB, Lennar, Shea. Is Shea one of the? I know Shea's like a top 5 in the nation.
Yeah.
Shea's coming. Shea's coming south of Meridian, north of Cunin.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? Who's there? Steve, I'm not sure. I read your question. I read your comments. I'm not sure I understand the question though. So I've been with you. I remember you talking. I think you're North Meridian. I have a quick question. Hopefully it wasn't addressed before you walked in. But are you guys kind of seeing a ceiling, so to speak, as to about how high the majority of homes are going before they start getting to be too expensive for most buyers? Okay, I think you're asking, is there a price point where some buyers are tapping out, generally speaking? Is that?
That's what I'm getting from it as well.
Okay. I have my home on the market for a few days, and it really is perfect. It's lower than some of the comps by me, and no one has been over to look at it. Oh, okay. It's going for $700K. So the median home price, Steve, are you in Meridian? Because I can tell you off the top of my head. Yep. Okay. Meridian median home price is, let's just tell you, the exact number is $595. So your house is a speck over the median home price. I am seeing, in fact, I was just talking to another agent just yesterday about where that number is. And we were both saying it was kind of in that 900 to 1.1 range. I I would have to, I mean, a home is based, there's 5 things that determine a home's value. Condition, location, price, marketing of yourself or your agent, and negotiation through that process. Those things are going to determine your price of that home. And so your condition is fixed at this point. No one's been able to see the condition. If your home is good on the inside, but the price isn't right to bring in the buyer, remember, sales is 3 things: traffic, leads, sales. They come in, they either like it or they don't. If you like it, it's a lead. If the lead can be converted into a sell, that's it: traffic, lead, sales. So you have to price that. If you're not getting people in the door, then the marketing is wrong, or the price is wrong, but the condition isn't because they haven't seen it yet, or the location is wrong, or the price is wrong for the location. So it comes down to 83646, the North Meridian. So those are the things that determine your value. Your agent would be able to. I mean, you guys should be in constant contact about that, about the showings. Should have a strategy right up for that. It's really hard in the moment, and you're probably experiencing this, Steve. When you have an awesome home, if it's a 5-star home and there's nothing that needs to be done to it, it's really hard in that moment to see clearly one as the homeowner, because you guys are so attached to your homes. An agent comes in there and they're not as attached to the memories. They can see values, they can pull comps, and it sounds like you're pulling comps. Just remember also that comps, there's an appraiser would come in and have 6 comps they want to pull. They have to get, if your house is 2,300 square feet, they have to have comps that are within a 300 square foot range, higher and lower. Location that's similar, age that's higher and lower. And so if you pull 3 homes that are more higher priced than yours, and I'm not saying you did this because I have no idea, but you have to be able to take the highs and the lows and put your home somewhere in the middle. I don't know if you have anything to say to that.
No, I mean, yeah, great points. Is there a ceiling? I mean, no, in theory, like we can go up, market supply and demand will dictate that. I think if I was to compare a housing market that we're kind of heading towards, it's a lot like Seattle to me, where, I mean, I talk to a lot of people from Seattle. There's people in Seattle that just can't afford a home. Like local wages in Seattle can't necessarily afford a home, which is sad. There's condos, rentals, townhomes. Like there's other things that people try to facilitate a need for. But because some corporations came in, it's a big city, everything like that, home prices have just continued to go up. Looking at Boise, it's starting to look like that. If we were really going to stay to the local wage, we would have started to peak about a year and a half ago. And so I don't see it peaking anytime soon, Steve. If I was to just put in my 2 cents, I mean, yeah, not good or bad. I think homes will continue to go up because of the shortage that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. If we're talking about the prices going up, it's, yeah, I think so. But you do, Steve, take a look at what I was going with emotional is it's hard to make those price adjustments in the middle if you hadn't predetermined. So when I go with a seller, we'll talk, and I say I have a house going on the market in 2 days, and if we get such and such if we get if we get less showings than desired, we're going to decrease the price at a certain time point. If we get no showings, then we'll be quicker to adjust that price by a whole lot. Is there less demand in your price range?
It's not a bad price range.
Yeah,
you're not priced out. You're above the median, yes, but that price range should be getting traffic. If it isn't already, it should soon, if I was to guess.
Yep. Steve, I just put someone under contract on a home that was a $900,000 home, and it really came down to price for them. They had the price they had the money to close on a home a lot fast. I mean, that we shopped anywhere from 700 to 900, and it came down to a house that was 775 compared to their 900. It wasn't a matter of that being, I mean, I see cash buyer. What are they cash? I can't remember if they're cash or not, but they come in with, they're not cash, but people still have the funds to come in. I have a buyer coming into town in June, and they're going to come in with 1.5 cash. I mean, there are still people that are buying all price ranges. I think we are seeing a bit of extra. I would love to break these up into market segments. In fact, I have the data, just not open right now. And I can, if you want that data, email me, Brian at brianheims.com, and just ask for the latest market stats. I get those weekly from a local title company that kind of breaks it down into 4 market segments. And it's really cool to see. So if you want that, email me for that, Brian at brianheims.com. Steve, it sounds like it might affect you, and you'd like to know what that is. And you can do the comparison. If you want to get free advertising on your home to Californians, you can go ahead and put that Zillow link in here or something and have people check that out. Would be happy to share that traffic that we have on here to push them towards your home. So good questions. I appreciate that, Steve. And who's there? Braden, do you have a good pulse on the lumber market?
A little bit. So lumber market, it's been a wild card recently. COVID kind of kicked it off, shutting down of plants, everything like that. It skyrocketed at the beginning of COVID, started to come back down in the winters, and then spring took it off again. From my understanding, lumber prices futures have been coming down. The futures market usually leads the actual lumber prices because people are betting on the future. That's what it is. So lumber prices are coming down. But honestly, what's weird is I don't think lumber prices has paid as much, hasn't affected home prices as much as we would initially think, to be honest. The last 12 months is a perfect example. We've roller coastered by 40% in the last 12 months, but you don't see home prices roller coastering that much. So
that's a good point.
Is it affecting it? I mean, yes, the cost to build is more, but I don't think it's a direct correlation. I think land cost is a much more direct correlation, especially as these big builders we were talking about, Lennar and some of these big guys are coming in. Cost per acre on development used to be 50 grand. Now it's 120 grand, and developers and everyone else has to get their chunk. And so I think land cost is probably a bigger direct correlation to the price of homes.
And I don't know the stat 100%, but I think somewhere about the cost of your home, about 10% of it stuck into lumber. Do you know?
Really?
I think
that sounds about right.
So that's so if that goes up and down, like Braden was saying, that only can account for 10% of that overall home price. So great question. Any other questions out there? We are going on a strong, we're almost to a good 45 minutes, which is great. Honestly, I love the questions, Braden.
Yep.
Questions are awesome because they not only keep us on our toes, we got people being smart alecks, we got people asking questions that are real about lumber, and we got it all. And we want them all. Keep it fun, keep it light. So Tyler Granger's. Oh, look, Tyler just on cue. Wait, thank you. Going back. Tyler got a real question. Dang it, Tyler. Going back to interest rates, higher or lower this time next year?
My crystal ball. I could really see I'd be a billionaire. So take this with a very big grain of salt. Okay, my thoughts. The reason we're raising, I'm trying to not get too technical with you. I've already been called a nerd multiple times tonight, which is true. I'm not going to hate on it. But the reason we're raising interest rates right now is to fight inflation. Because the Fed, when we go into a recession, wants the ability to lower interest rates so they can pull us out of that recession. So they're trying to get their interest rates up really, really quick. So when we go into that recession, they can lower them back down like that. They've publicly basically said that in very technical words. So do I think rates are coming back down? Yes. But I still think we've got some room to go up before they can start bringing them down. I don't see rates getting below 5% the rest of the year. And there's a lot of professionals I listen to that are saying rates will be 6.5%, 7% at their peak. So not what we want to hear. I'm personally actually about to break ground on a home in the next 30 days. And so I don't want rates to go up anymore. But I think rates have got to go up a little bit more so that the Fed has that room to pull us out of a recession when we get into it.
Okay. And non-biasedly, as non-biased as you can be, what's the advantage or disadvantage of getting into a loan and saying, you know what, I can handle 2 years of 7.5% and refinancing? Is that financially makes sense? I know not everyone's got the same income to just throw money around, but I don't know how much that costs. I don't know what that would be. What does that like? Do you ever recommend someone do that, or is that too much betting on the market?
So I always say when you're buying a home, you're shopping for two things. You're shopping for an interest rate and you're shopping for a home. The home, the price is going to be locked in forever. Once you buy it, it's done. The interest rate, we can always change. There's refinances, it can go down, stuff like that. In my opinion, there's a range that your housing expense should sit in proportion to your income.
Do you want to share?
Yeah, 28 is kind of the low side. 35 is probably the high side. If you have no other debt, I'll let you go up to 38, but 28 to 38. Right now, because I think rates are on the high side and they will come down, I'm much more comfortable putting people on that higher side. Go ahead, sit in that 35 to 38% range. When rates were low, I was like, yeah, let's go try to chase that 30% so you have more discretionary income. But if you're comfortable with the payment, sitting in that 35 to 38% range, hopefully on a refinance would get you down to 28. So I never want you to be house poor. I never want you to be forced into something you can't afford. We'll talk through all that in our conversations. But I do think it's okay to push the budget a little bit, just because we'll be refinancing in the next 24 months if I was to guess.
And what's I would be asking a question.
Yeah.
Costs to get into a loan and then refinance a loan. What's that entail? Like what kind of danger are they in, or what kind of piece can they have from that?
So closing costs right now are about 1% from us. You have a $500,000 loan, your total closing costs are around $5,000. That's title, appraisal, that's everyone all in. To refinance, it's usually about $3,000 to refinance. But with that said, I've got tools. I always tell my clients this, I'll say it publicly. If you buy a home with me, I'm going to roll in my commissions and help you on a refi. Like, I don't need to make money twice. I make my money by word of mouth, referrals, stuff going around. So if you come to me, we put you in a 5.5 rate, it drops down to 3% next year. Come back and say, hey, help me out. I'll roll in my commissions and try to get you into a home basically free or a new rate.
And this is recorded, so you can.
It's recorded. Hold me to it. I can get you a refinance for free, in all honesty, if it means that you're more comfortable.
Okay, so Tyler says, my issue is, okay, here it is. My issue is that while we're waiting to start building, the interest rates are dropping our buying lending power. So should we wait till next year? That would go into what you're talking about with that float, correct?
Yeah, the product. Lock in to a one-time closed construction loan, so that way you guarantee what your rate is now. If it floats down, we can take advantage of that. But that is what that product is for. Also, the flip side, scary side of this, builders 12 months ago, 18 months ago, were quoting 160 to 180 bucks a square foot to build. Right now, builders are quoting 200 to 300. There's a huge range right now. I'd hate for that to happen again. Right now, let's say we're quoting 225. You wait a year for the interest rate, but next year we're building at 275. So that comes back to this. You're shopping for two things. The price to build, in my opinion, is not going down anytime soon. So I'd probably lock in the rate. We can refinance later and keep your cost to build. But I mean, I don't know your financial situation. I don't know much off the cuff. So it will depend a little bit.
Cool. A question that came into my head, I don't know if any of the other viewers have it, is when you're on, because I've never originated a loan with you, I refer people to you, but I don't have those conversations, is what type of role do you play? Sounds like you are on the phone as an advisor, not just pushing the loan through, when you're saying you're talking to people.
Yeah. When we get to the point where we're locking in loans and talking rates, I talk through all of it. Like, you can buy down points. If you don't know what that is, reach out to me and we can talk about it. You can buy down points. There's adjustable rate mortgages, fixed rate mortgages. How long are you going to be in the home? What's your 10-year plan? What does your job look like? We talk through all of that to figure out exactly what is the best loan product closing cost for you. And so I see myself much more as advisor. And in my opinion, that's a huge value add that I bring. Go to Rocket Mortgage, go to ICCU, go to better.com. I mean, you're going to get some guy that just makes calls all day. They can't even talk about this stuff educated. So you want to talk to someone that can actually advise you through it, because it's a big decision. There's a lot of money there, and you can lose or save a ton of money based on what you do.
Yep. I want to say this with all due respect to some of the people I've used in the past, because I honestly think every lender has a strength, and I think there's a lot of great things that go on. But I have been, just so you know, every loan I've pushed Braden's way has been a raving review from the customer on the other side of the deal. So, for better or for worse, as much time as Braden takes on the front end, I mean, a simple phone call can save you a lot of time. There's no hard feelings. Same thing in the real estate business. Same thing as lender business, and you just become it's part of the business. A lot of you, for example, Steve Hurd says he's been on these lives before. He's listing his home. Sounds like it's with someone else. It's not with me. Well, guess what? Still happy to help Steve Hurd. Total, I mean, 100% am. And like, if you call Braden and Braden, it's just a lot of large numbers. We put out enough good. We receive enough. I feel my cup runneth over, spilleth over. What's the saying? Like, we have enough. We have plenty, and I want more. But if it's not you, I'm happy to help you along the way.
Hands down. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that just come to me for advice. I think you sent me one today. I talked to a realtor today, asking about commercial loans and a bunch of other stuff.
Maybe,
and
probably.
But yeah, so I am happy to give advice. If I can help you, awesome. I had a VA loan the other day. He came to me. He's 2 weeks into it, and he showed me his closing cost statement. I told him we saved him about $11,000 in strictly closing costs. That's straight cash out of his pocket. So
if you're not familiar, $11,000, that's a lot of money.
There's a lot of money in closing costs. That's just you pulling out a checkbook and writing $11,000 to someone that has my title. We're not worth that. Trust me. So I'm happy to give advice anytime. So give me a call, even if you're not going to use me. If you're using someone else, keep using them. I'm fine with it, but I can give you advice.
Yeah. And that's, you want a partner. You want someone that's trusted. You want a partner. So reach out. Jeff, are sellers more open to contingent offers now? Yes. Flat out yes. And I'd say they're not guaranteed you're going to get them. They're not guaranteed that they'll be the first. In the first weekend, I would say the sentiment is no. If that home is past the first weekend, you have a good chance. If you've got a few weekends, I'm seeing that you probably see some contingent. In fact, we have a deal that just got past its contingency today. They put in an offer and it was accepted 2 weeks ago with a contingency that home sells. We just got the documentation in today. So that is happening. Every every seller is different. Every realtor representing the seller is different, because a lot of times it's not the seller making those decisions. It's a realtor who has an experience or has knowledge that's either superior or inferior than what is reality. And then your buyer's agent's ability to communicate on the front end, and then a lender who can call the selling agent, the seller's agent, and talk about how strong of an offer is. And with that, there's, in fact, one of that person we had close that contingency off today could have been a non-contingent offer with all the documentation they needed, but they didn't feel, and it was props to them. They just didn't feel like they wanted to say it was a non-contingent offer, because in my opinion, it was a gray area in how the lending world works, and they didn't want to go there. And so they made it a contingent offer, and it still worked out for them for the best. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
So.
Yep. There's a lot of ways we can be creative, and it's all above board. I don't mess with anything that's not above board.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But yeah, there's ways that you can kind of push and pull contingencies and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you guys are comfortable. And with those kind of stuff, I can make a call to the seller's agent and sit there and say, I've underwritten the file. I've looked at every single pay stub. This is as strong as a cash offer. It's just, we need a 4-week or 6-week close instead of a 2-week. And so I can talk to the sellers and talk through that. Oftentimes sellers don't want a 2-week close. Like, there's a lot of sellers that don't want that.
So true.
And so the benefits of a cash offer mean nothing to the sellers, because they need 6 weeks to go find their home and move out and pack up and do everything. So I'm happy to get on the phone and go to bat for you guys.
Yep. Let's see. Braden, question for you. Do you sell more fixed rate or ARM loans?
Good question. I mean, historically fixed by and far. 99% of my mortgages have been fixed. In the last 3 months, more and more ARMs are coming. In my opinion, the benefit to ARMs are not there yet.
Wow.
So ARMs are directed by the Fed. So the Fed is going to raise rates 4 more times this year. They've already announced it. ARMs rates are directed by that. So once they raise 4 more times, ARMs will be substantially better than fixed. We're just starting to kind of cross that threshold where ARM rates are better, but it's only by like 0.25%. And so then you've got to weigh, is a 5-year ARM worth 0.25%, that risk analysis. For a lot of people, it's not. When ARMs are 1% better or 1.5% better, yeah, like we can lock up for 5, 7, 10 years with an ARM. So they're coming. I'm doing a lot more of them. We're just starting to cross that threshold where it's making sense.
So on an ARM, this is a personal question. I wonder if anyone else has it. Is there any penalty for refinancing an ARM?
No.
So it's the same thing.
The average time someone holds a mortgage in the United States is under 5 years. It's like 4.8 years before you sell or refinance. You can lock in ARMs for up to 10 years. You can say, I'm going to have a fixed rate for the 10 years. Then after 10 years, it's going to start adjusting. So the average American, it would make sense to do an ARM majority of the time. It's just, can we sleep at night? Like, can I go to bed knowing that my rate's going to change in 4 years? A lot of people, that brings them stress, and it's not worth it. I don't want you to live in stress. So, but yeah.
I think that's one thing. So one thing that I'm a huge believer in my real estate business, and he's saying the same thing, is I control the conversation. And what I say is I control the process and you control the results. He just said he's going to present the option to you and then it's your decision. I had one buyer, if you're out there, she told me that she just wants me to make the decision for her. And that's the last thing I'll ever do. She watches a lot of these lives and things. And so if you're on there, it's nice to have you, but I just simply will not do that. I'm going to control the process. I'm going to show homes. I'm going to talk about the market. I'm going to talk about what's here, what's not, what competition's like, but ultimately it's your decision and it should be. You'll never want anyone else making that decision for you. Love the questions. This is awesome. Okay, I got to pause and just say, Braden, thanks for being here because this is a lot more intelligent of a conversation than we've had in the past. A lot of times I was just Google and answer. I'm just kidding. But this is great to have you because you dig into this stuff and it's been awesome. So Cookie Lee, what about, this is a great question. What about second home purchase rates and money down? And I would love to talk about, Braden, second home purchases and how that works with out-of-state buyers right now, if you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah. Second homes and rates, money down. So money down on a second home is 10%. So you only have to bring 10% down on a second home. Rates. This is a really interesting one. Good for you guys to know. The Fannie and Freddie, so they're the government people that rule mortgages, came out with a rule about 2 months ago that took a big hit to second homes. So second homes and investment properties are almost the same rate, roughly 0.5% to 0.75% higher than normal rates. So right now, second homes and investment properties are pricing around 6%. In my opinion, that rule is going to be rescinded here in the next month or two. There's a lot of noise and chatter out there, which would be great because that would make second home interest rates in line with primary. So it'd be like 5.25 today.
Interesting.
Last year, all year, there was no difference between my primary and my second home interest rates were identical until they implemented this law on April 30th. So there has been a change in the last month around second homes. Their interest rates are about 0.5% higher, but I do a lot of second homes. Because with out-of-state buyers, there's a rule in the mortgage world that if you buy a primary home, your place of work has to be within 100 miles of it. People coming from California, from Washington, Oregon, all over, a lot of times they want to buy a home before they make the move and start a new job, or they don't have a job offer letter, or their income's better in California and they want to qualify on that and not here. And so what I'll do is we'll keep your home, apartment, whatever in California, and we'll buy a second home here in Idaho. And then that way you can lock up a home, secure it. I can qualify you on your income that's wherever you are. And then you can get into the home. If we need to, we can refinance it later. But I use this very often. I would say probably half my out-of-state buyers, I run through a second home just because it makes it a lot easier on you to not have to secure a job and go through all the hoops of job offer letters and drug testing and background checks. We've got to clear all that before we can get a mortgage. And so we just do it on the old income and qualify that way.
Yeah. Which is, he's hinting into a lot of stuff too, because I'll get people who say, should I do this should I buy a second home? Should we get a bridge loan? Should we get like all these different types of, should we get a second, like that's a question when you have someone you trust as a lender and you can go through those options and you can say, oh, now I can make a decision. It makes my job for that conversation. Braden and I talk and he'll say, okay, this is what we're doing. So you're like, really all I need to know from that conversation is what you're pre-approved for, because and I will know more, but that's what he gets. That's what his expertise is putting that product together so that you are approved in your worst case scenario, or or your best case scenario. And those things can happen. We can make a contingent offer, an uncontingent offer, all those types of things. So,
Yep.
Let's see. Sellers more condition. Braden, do you have an adjustment, right? What about second homes? Okay. And then who's there? I suppose if one is a gambler, an arm is good.
Yeah. People with a higher risk tolerance usually tend to go towards arms. I mean, I'm in the real estate world. I'm a high risk taker. Brian and I dabble in investments that aren't necessarily traditional. So I'm a high risk taker. I'll probably do an arm when my home's done in here in about a year. So
you can decide that later in the process.
Yep. So
Tyler Grange could.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you can kind of ebb and flow with it a little bit, but yeah.
Cool. Okay. Any other questions before we sign off? We went an hour. This is the longest live yet. 61 minutes. This is awesome. I must have missed it. Our arms a lower rate right now.
Yeah. 10-second synopsis of it. They are just starting to switch places where arms are lower rates. Right now, there's like 0.25%, maybe 0.5% difference in some scenarios. In my opinion, in 6 months from now, I think there'll be a full percent difference. So we've just crossed that threshold, and I think it's going to start widening, and arms are going to get better and better throughout the year.
Cool. Yeah, it says, great information, guys. I've done very little here in terms of time on the market. I want to say thank you, Braden.
For sure. Thanks for having me. It's been fun, guys.
Thank you guys, because this thing does not happen without you guys. The questions are awesome from you guys. It totally is awesome. And yes, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. What that does for you is you guys get those videos when they come out. I just so you guys know, I have those who follow me closely. Notice I've put less videos out there. I'm changing some of those things around. You're gonna see a little bit different videos coming out in the next month or two. So they'll be fun. And those are in the works. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Honestly, it's the best thing that you can do for yourself if you're learning about Boise is devour all the videos. We'll go through all those. If you guys want to get a hold of Braden, his number and email are scrolling across the bottom. Tyler, I will pass on your number when we get done here to Braden before we leave. And if you guys have anything, 208-213-2092 for me. Text, call, or email anytime. If it's a bad time, guys, I'll call you back when I have the moment. Same thing with Braden. If it's a bad time, he'll get you when he has a moment. I've got a couple people help me. Braden's got, they've got like over 20 employees. So they've got, if you can't get a hold of Braden, I think he golfs 3 times a day. I'm just kidding.
I wish.
Just kidding. And we'll let you know, Tyler. And so if you talk to Braden, he's got processors. He's got all those people. I don't know what they do. He just gives me good loans. Is all I know. Good, happy customers.
They do good stuff.
He's got all those processes, and I've got processes too. And we control the process. You guys control the decision. So the more educated we can make you, the better decision you'll make, and the happier you'll be, which is ultimately what we want. So.
Yep, for sure.
Guys, thanks a lot, and we will catch you. Remember, lives are the 3rd Tuesday of the month. If maybe I'll put my Venmo handle out there. If I get enough Venmo money, I'll pull Braden on again. Just kidding. But we have enjoyed having you. So every 3rd Tuesday of the month, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
All right, see ya.